Can you beat Serious Sam 3 without killing any enemies? If you've seen the previous videos in this series, you will already be familiar with the rules I use to answer this question. If you'd like a reminder or are new, in brief, the rules are as follows. 1. Keep the kill counter at 0 at all costs, or if that's impossible due to a progression trigger, then keep it as low as possible. The kill counter increases when an enemy dies, whether it's by your hand or from friendly fire, or even from environmental hazards, so keeping it low or at 0 can become pretty difficult during bigger battles. 2. Shooting enemies without killing them is okay. I am only interested in seeing a nice round 0 on the end of level results screen. Sometimes it becomes necessary to shoot an enemy to stun it and then be able to run past it rather than killing it. This is 100% okay. 3. Cheat codes are not allowed. 4. Glitches are permissible. 5. Quick saves and loads are fine, and this run will be using them. As far as the release version, I'm using the original non-fusion release of Serious Sam 3. I will be playing on Tourist since spawn totals differ between difficulties, and this one has the fewest, and also rocket jumping is possible on Tourist, so there's not much reason to use a higher difficulty. Unless you've seen some Serious Sam 3 speedruns already, you might not remember rocket jumping being possible in the original release. And you are right, sort of. Although rocket jumping is not a feature in this entry of the Serious Sam games, firing rockets in specific ways can yield similar results. There are a couple of different types of rocket jumps in our arsenal. For the first kind, run to a vertical wall, aim at a high angle, and jump and shoot simultaneously. This will make you jump very high, but it's essentially rendered useless because of a new powerful enemy that Sam has in this game, fall damage. The second type of jump is a lot more useful. If you jump and let yourself fall for a second before firing a rocket, and also hold forward, you will instead be snapped to the top of whatever you are using to jump. Lastly, the third type is more of a rocket boost. This is easiest to perform with the palm trees, but is also possible on smaller things like cars and also on walls. This is done by getting up real close to whatever you are using, while looking up slightly, and pressing fire and crouch at about the same time. That's everything we need to know before we begin, so let's get started with Level 1, Summer in Cairo. I parkour right down the building and just run. The only enemies in the first half are the beheaded and Gunnars, and they aren't that hard to avoid. At this point, I realize that I never picked up the hammer, so I can't destroy the wall here. But the Gunnar's attack damages the wall anyway, so I just use that to my advantage, and keep running. I go to the secret yard to the left to avoid the first kamikaze, and keep sprinting to the first arena. The entrance to the museum's courtyard is a little tricky, because a poorly timed Gunnar attack will sometimes explode a kamikaze, but other than that, it's just more running, until you reach the exit trigger, with an easy 0 kills. Level 1 being possible full pacifist is starting to feel like a tradition. I hope that Serious Sam 4 doesn't disappoint. I'm not going to encounter any enemies until we reach this beautiful atrium, where a couple of spider pods await. As long as you don't sprint, though, they won't awaken, so just take it nice and easy here. Go along the right hallway and do a few jumps up this statue to reach the hallway above. The collision on the shoulder can be a bit touchy, but it definitely shouldn't give you any trouble. Now I want to open the speedrun secret, so just backtrack a bit to the button that opens the gate, and true to its name, this will bring you to the end of the level, where normally a scorpion boss must be fought. I wish to avoid conflict, however, so instead I'll catch the edge of this broken second floor that the invisible walls don't quite block off properly. The level end trigger lies just beyond the wall. I drop down and end another level with 0 kills. There are many ways to break out of levels in most cases. In Broken Wings, the one I found easiest is to just run past all the shotgunners and go through the beginning bit normally, until you reach this section near the underpass. I make a detour to this alley to spawn another Gunnar, and then run here and let them punch me over the wall. It might not look it, but there is an invisible wall blocking off most of this section. So now I make use of a neat glitch that is probably underutilized for this run, but this is the only place I could find to use it. It's some kind of engine quirk. I'm not really sure how it works, but it seems like there is a particular type of slope that when crouched under will spit you out at high speed. Not sprinting helps, and varying where you look can help get you where you want to go. So, do a crouch, look in this general direction, and step out so that you get flung onto this house or nearby. I'm high enough now to jump over the invisible walls, and now I run around to the right. With a bit of exploring, you can find the museum from the last stage. Following the flow of the level will bring you here eventually. Jump into this gap, being careful to stay inside the wall. This lets me enter this arena while not activating any triggers that will otherwise spawn shotgunners, clear, and kamikazes. The peace doesn't last long though, since I pass another spawning trigger, so now I want to run here and hop onto this wall before the kamikaze reaches you. Shoot the button to unlock a secret door, then jump past the wall, run by the Scorp, and annihilate these boxes to uncover another speedrun secret. This takes me to the final arena of the level, where, unfortunately, I'm going to have to get my hands dirty. This part will spawn many enemies, but you don't have to kill all of them. Hit a spawning trigger surrounding the center building, and ignore the shotgunners within. As the beheaded start to spawn in, focus on eliminating 20 of them. This will bring in some kamikazes. You don't technically have to kill them for the trigger, but if you let them run around, they'll die in the crossfire anyway, and take out their allies with their explosions. They do more harm than good, so I kill them at a distance to avoid that. After 40 seconds, Gnars and Clears start to spawn, and killing them will bring in the Biomech Major boss. Kill it quickly so that its rockets don't harm anyone. The hammer seems to be the best tool for this job. I beat this level with 55 kills out of 303. This level is going to be the first chance I'll get to grab the rocket launcher, but it's in a secret later on, so I'll have to get to it first. Round the corner and use Gnar punches again to hop up the wall. There's a lot of invisible walls here, so circumnavigate them however you can, and take roughly this route until you reach this area. Normally, C4 will be used to blow up a wall and reveal the secret rocket launcher. Instead, I just drop down from above and use a rocket boost to escape. Now, stay among the rooftops, using another rocket to hop up these crenellations. I run around this arena and avoid triggering the first chopper fight. In fact, if you're curious, you can quick save, jump down, and investigate the crash site for yourself at this point. Do another jump and run along the walls. There's one trigger here that must be touched at the broken wall. Do that and boost out using a palm tree. This will spawn the second chopper, and upon defeating it, the exit trigger will activate, making the minimum kills for this level 1 out of 198. There's a harpy at the start that is pretty hard to lose. I boost out with a palm tree and track the level, doing snap jumps and crossing buildings where needed. You should have plenty of rockets at this point, so just have fun and blaze your own trail. All you need to do is end up at the final arena. Walk over a trigger back where you would normally enter, and then run to the rear of the arena toward the pyramids. You'll need to kill 14 of these flying harpies to trigger the spaceship boss fight. Kill it fast to avoid friendly fire kills. I beat this level with 16 kills out of 342. The start is fairly straightforward. Use boosts or simply run along the edge of the level. When you pass the first arena, you can run along the top of the walls to avoid the sandworm, which will eat you if you stray too far out into the sand. This skip will let you avoid the whole level, including the underground section, and bring you straight to the final arena. The only way to leave here though is to spawn the exit chopper, and that requires you to get through the ending fight. All the enemies here must be killed except for the blue biomechs. I beat the silent Riddler with 151 kills out of a maximum of 552. This level needs a touch of RNG at the beginning, so expect a few resets. I run along the left side, and run and rocket boost to the opposite side of the arena as fast as I can. When you reach the wall that runs along the left side boundary, snap jump over it, and make sure you have 0 kills so far. Going fast here does seem to help. It seems like the enemy alert stance gets changed when you are a certain distance from them, as they will stop shooting and killing each other. Just follow this route out of bounds, and you should be fine. The only thing to be mindful of here is to minimize your contact with the sand so that the worm doesn't get you. Ending the level this time is as easy as hitting the exit trigger. No battles here, so that means 0 kills. Oh boy, the underground section that everyone loves. I don't feel like doing it this time though, so I'll just do a rocket jump up here and a crouch boost against the wall, which flings me straight up, through the sand, and into the scorching sun. You either need to get lucky here with the timing of the worm surfacing in the distance when you do, or more likely, just run this way if you aren't lucky, because if the worm comes over to you, it will surface through the underground section you were just in, and its hitbox will intersect with 1 or 2 biomechs down there, killing them. Either way, once you and the biomechs are safe, snap jump up this wall, and run along it to the final arena. Cross here while avoiding the worm once more, and I also boost with this tree to skip a spawner. Surprisingly, the battle here is not necessary to finish, since the exit trigger is always active, so just jump over the wall and walk over to the other side of the door to end this level with 0 kills out of 1,139. I begin Power of the Underworld with a trivial out-of-bounds jump. The ending arena is unbelievably close. It's just a short jog along the walls and you're there. Much like Under the Iron Cloud, to activate the spaceship boss, some enemies must be defeated here. This battle is much larger in scope though, so I'm going to hide among the walls we just jumped over. Hit the trigger enclosing the center of the level to start things off, and then make a retreat to these walls, where you'll be relatively safe. The only enemies that must be killed here are 2 Scorps, 2 Biomech Majors, a Knum, and a Witch Bride. Pick them off as they spawn in, and once the last enemy is defeated, the enemy ship will teleport in. Once again, I try and defeat it quickly to minimize friendly fire kills.
Tell me how my planet tastes.
I beat this level with 13 out of 631 kills, but I'm sure with a bit of luck, this number can be marginally improved. Speaking of luck, I need a bit of it in the Lost Temples of Nubia for sure to be able to run past all these enemies without catching a friendly fire kill. Spiders among the starting ruins, beheaded bombers and scrapjacks with their rockets farther in, and a kamikaze and clear wave as I approach the oasis. Not to mention, the sandworm will eat Sam if I stray too far out into the dunes in my attempts to outpace the enemy, so I must tread carefully. Keep an eye on your score in the upper left, and if it increases, that likely means the kill count has gone up. With a solid run, it's possible to make it to the underground section where I can reclaim my lost rocket launcher and shake the kamikazes. Now I try to run and boost to the canyon walls as expeditiously as possible, outrunning the kamikazes and bulls ahead. Use this tree to boost one last time and run along the top of the rocks. It might take a bit of manipulation here to avoid the kill count going up. I think that the bulls sometimes ram into the kamikazes, killing them, so just reset if needed and try running along a different path. What worked for me was gaining a bit of height and distance. Sprint over to the exit trigger, and once again we can beat a level with no kills. The last man on Earth begins underground, and sadly, it can't be skipped this time. I need to hit 3 switches in alcoves, and then enter a 4th one to exit. Dodging enemies isn't too difficult until you reach the 3rd one, which is blocked by 3 beheadeds. The clear following you at this point will inevitably lunge and kill at least one of them, so to avoid that, I alert the group and then run back out. Once they've followed you out, I go back in to hit the switch and then beat a hasty exit into the 4th alcove. This brings me to the infamous pit filled with hit-scan scorpions. If this was serious difficulty, jumping in would be suicide, but I'm playing on tourist, so it's fine. I locate the switch on the pedestal that opens the exit door, leap into the pit, and time hitting the use key so that I hit the switch instead of performing a melee kill on the Scorps. Now just run. Next, you'll find this beheaded soldier blocking the tight hallway. I lure him out and proceed. The last obstacle to your progress in the underground section is this simple switch puzzle, which a quick rocket jump bypasses. Now that I'm above ground, my goal becomes to skip the several arenas ahead, and this is easily done with some crouch boosts using the palm trees. The final arena of this level tasks you with finding 8 gas cans in the vicinity and bringing them one at a time to the car, which will activate the level end trigger. As you pick the gas cans up, enemies will progressively begin to spawn in. I suppose if you planned your route out very meticulously, it might be possible to avoid any kills here, but for today, I'm content with just running and keeping my fingers crossed. This strategy yielded a finish with 44 out of 454 kills. The Guardian of Time. The last level starts with a sandworm chasing you, so get to safety and get ready to do a manipulation glitch. Run along the right side until you hear the sandworm, and then backtrack. Stand on the rock here until you hear the worm pass you. Sprint along the same way now, not stopping until you reach a sand dune that meets the cliff like this, and then stand and wait until you can't hear the sandworm anymore. It's in a glitched state at this point and will no longer hunt you, so you're free to roam and explore now. I keep running forward, bypassing every single spawning trigger, eventually rounding the edge of the canyon to the final boss arena. Touch the canyon exit to trigger the fight, bring down Ugzon 4, and since ending the fight and finishing the game brings me back to the main menu, I hit escape and check the statistics once the ending cutscene occurs to get this stage's kill count. It's a 1-kill level, so that makes the total kills for Serious Sam 3 tally up to just 281 kills out of 6,662, which is not bad at all. So that concludes Serious Sam 3. Can you do better? I'd love to hear in the comments how your own pacifist run goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Serious Sam 4.